Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Joe Ellis. I'm a commercial wedding and portrait photographer in Dallas, Texas. And today I want to talk about digital workflow. So, I think this was a great time for me to talk about this. Over the last about 11, 12 days, I've had 2 weddings, a portrait shoot, and a 6-day commercial job that has left me about 25,000 photos in the hole here that I need to edit. So I was sitting down to start working on all of that, and it hit me that one of my very favorite things in the world in terms of pieces of equipment or gear or software that makes my life possible is a program called PhotoMechanic. And PhotoMechanic is my sort of digital hub. It's the thing that I use to get my process started. It's how I ingest, how I look at, how I cull and launch photographs into other programs. And so I thought we'd talk about that and just a little bit about digital workflow and a couple of things that I think are really super important that have kept me safe and worry-free over the years as a photographer. So the first thing I want to talk about is my 3 favorite rules for working with pictures. And those are these. Number 1, I never format a card when I'm on location. I just format the cards before I leave so that everything I'm leaving with is empty. And then when I'm out shooting, I never make the decision as to whether or not I should delete a set of photographs while I'm working. This just keeps things super safe, and it really makes my life that much easier. When I'm working, I will shoot a card, and when the card is full, I'll put it in my wallet upside down just to mark which card is full. But I never have a worry of like having to think about while I'm out there, did I download these pictures? Did I do this or did I do that? Everything that I've left with is empty, and then everything that's shot comes home, and no matter what happens, I never have to worry or think about making a mistake when I'm out there. Now, speaking of downloading, every wedding photographer has a process for this, and I think that most of them are cautious in the sense that they really understand the gravity of the work that we do and how losing pictures could be really catastrophic. But there's a rule in photography that's called the 3-2-1 rule that I think is a really simple way to think about this. And that is that to be safe, to make sure that you have all your photographs, you want to have at least 3 copies of them. You want at least two of them to be in different locations, and you would love to have a copy that you put in the cloud or online. If you do that, if you have 2 different physical locations and you have a copy online, then you can sleep at night knowing that there's very little chance that there's anything that could happen to your pictures that you couldn't recover from. Now, my personal workflow is a little bit more robust than that. When I come home from a wedding, I download the pictures to 2 different locations. And so I have 2 physical copies here in my office. I have a copy at my studio downtown that gives me 2 separate locations. Then I put a copy online, and in the end, once I've gone from RAW to JPEG to deliverable pictures, then I have another copy here at the office, and I have another copy online, and the clients get a copy. So in the end, there's really lots of copies of the photographs, and I'm 100% certain that there's nothing that's going to happen that's going to keep me from having those pictures or delivering those pictures to people. So you need to pick your own sort of workflow, what works for you, what you feel safe with. But if you, at a bare minimum, adhere to that 3-2-1 rule, then I'm pretty certain that even as a family photographer that you're going to feel like there's very little chance that your pictures are not going to be around for years to come. Okay. The last thing I want to talk about, the last rule I have, is one that is very near and dear to my heart because it was impressed upon me back when I was a brand new photographer, way before any of my weddings and all that, way back when I was starting out in newspapers and in journalism. And that is that when you come home from a shoot and you're looking through your photographs, I really, really strongly advocate that you edit in, that you go through and pick the winners from your list of pictures, because if you do that, it kind of changes your mentality. If you were going through looking for the losers all the time, that's a completely separate workflow. What happens with that is that I see tons of new photographers where they go through their giant set of photographs, and the first thing they do is, I'm going to go through and just pick out the ones that are super terrible. Boom, those are gone. Now I'm going to go through again and pick out ones that are too similar over here. Boom, those are gone. Now I'm going to go through and do this, and now I'm going to go through and do that. And so they take the process of going from, let's say, 3,000 or 4,000 photographs to getting down to the deliverables, and it takes 5 or 6 or 7 passes through the pictures. And that process is really tedious, and it focuses you on the negative the entire time. And by the end, what you really haven't concentrated on is which ones are really the winners. Now, if you go through and you reverse that whole process and you say to yourself, I'm going to go through these pictures and I'm only going to pick the ones that I really think are winners, then you can go through a set of 4,000 or 5,000 photographs and get to the winners in one pass, okay? And that will speed up your life so much. And so I have been doing that since the very beginning, and I'm a huge advocate for thinking and working in that way. And so for me, when I go through the entire set of wedding photographs and I want to get down to the winners, the only things that I'm keeping are ones that I really believe in and ones that are on the cusp where I'm like, I don't know, I want to look at that in Lightroom. I really want to investigate that picture a little bit to see if it works. And so that may be only 2 or 3 or 4% of the photographs. And those photographs will become part of the final edit or get deleted during the conversion process. But in either event, going through the pictures was really just one single pass through the pictures. And that's not to say that I don't ever back up and look at pictures from previous and find the best one in a set of photographs. But I could do it in one sitting. I only go through the pictures essentially during one editing session. So the program that I use to do that is PhotoMechanic. And I really, really love this program because of its speed and simplicity and how lightweight it is. I never have to worry about rendering previews, doing smart previews, letting anything run overnight. None of that is really necessary in my workflow. Because what happens is that PhotoMechanic is super, super fast at letting you view photographs. It's looking at the embedded JPEGs that are a part of every RAW file, and you never have to wait. You can literally go through and scroll through the photographs as fast as your finger can tap the key. And that is really its core party trick, is that you never have to wait for it. But it has this really wonderful and robust set of tools for tagging, for organizing, and moving pictures as well. So I want to give you a few tips about PhotoMechanic in case you're looking for something that could become part of your workflow and you're tired of waiting for this, that, or the other. So let's look at PhotoMechanic and kind of the core things that it does for me. So jumping to the computer here, I have a card inserted from like Nick's Taekwondo lesson last night. And so as soon as you pop the card into the computer and you have PhotoMechanic launched, you'll be sourced with this ingest window. And here's what's important about this for me. So this is the card that's inserted in the camera. This is where I pick the destination. And so I'm just going to go ahead and put these photographs on my little Samsung drive here. I will go ahead and make a new folder called Taekwondo, and I will select that folder. And then down here, I'll pick inside that folder that I just made, I'll pick another folder name that I'm going to put the originals in. So the way my stuff works is that I will have a year, I will have the client's names, and then inside that folder will be like an originals folder where their raw files are kept, and then I'll have an edit folder, that's where the edit is kept, and then I'll have JPEGs after that. So it's pretty simple for me as a wedding photographer to do that. I don't do a ton of tagging and all that kind of good stuff. But one of the neat features of PhotoMechanic, if you want to investigate it, is that it has the ability to write metadata to your pictures during ingest, and you can write all manner of things if it's useful to you in terms of locations or keywords or names and that kind of thing. The only thing that I apply to my pictures during import in that way is my name and copyright. Okay, so I picked a destination, I picked to put it into the originals folder, and then over here you can actually pick the name of the picture. So it will rename it from the P blah 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 to whatever it is that you want it to be. So I could just put my son, Nick, and I could put TKD for Taekwondo, and I could pick 0718 for the month, and then underscore. And then right here I will set the sequence variable, and that's just a number that counts up from 1 to whatever. I usually stick with 3 zeros and a 1 because any shoot that I do typically doesn't go over 9,999. So I'll go ahead and set that, and then I'll hit ingest. One quick thing, we want to go ahead and hit OK and make sure you check this little box next to sequence. So by hitting the little box right there, that brings the sequence variable into the picture. And so if you forget to do that, then it would simply cause all the photographs to have the same name and you would be stuck. So it will warn you about that. So I went ahead and did that, and now it's ingesting. So like I said, the key trick here for PhotoMechanic is that it will go through your photographs super quickly. And what you're doing in this case is you're tagging pictures to choose as winners. So after this is finished, I will show you guys just how fast you can scroll through images and tag them. So and here we are, we're done. And so if you click into a picture here, this brings up this screen where you see a larger preview. And a couple of things here. Here is metadata here on this side. Here is zooming into 1:1. If you click the little zoom key and have it at 1, you're seeing 1:1. If you go up to 2, you're at 2:1. Down to half, you're at 50%, and so on and so forth. And then here you have a histogram, and then it can show you any blown highlights or lost shadow detail that you have in your photographs. Okay, so we are going to go ahead and just look at the entire picture, and then watch as I scroll through these pictures. These are raw files, and I'm going through them at a super fast pace. And then when I find something that I like, I can tag it, go through and find another one and tag it, and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can see how quickly you could go through 5,000 photographs. If you wanted to, you could literally probably get through the entire set of them in an hour or less. So I've gone through and tagged some pictures, and the next step for me is that I want to copy those to a new location and call that my edit. And so I will go to Edit, select Color Class, Winners, and then you can either drag them to a new folder, or what I like to do is just use the copy function, and the shortcut key for that is Control-Y. And here I can choose to move photos, which would delete the originals, which I never do, or copy. And then I will go through to my drive, and I will go down to the Taekwondo folder. And then inside here, I will Control-Shift-N and create a folder called Edit. And I will select that folder and then copy those pictures over. Now, when I do that from a wedding, I'm gonna have 700 or 800 pictures that I'm copying over. And here's the brilliant thing that I like about the way I do this. When I get to Lightroom, I'm only putting 700 or 800 photographs into Lightroom. I'm not putting 5,000 pictures into Lightroom. And that keeps things much more lightweight and much quicker. And it makes my life that much easier. I find Lightroom to be real slow and annoying when you have thousands and thousands and thousands of photos that you're throwing at your catalog. If you're only throwing 500, 600, 700, or maybe for you it's way less than that, you save yourself a ton of time and your computer does not get clogged down with all of that data. So I love that workflow. Everything that I do in terms of choosing and culling photographs happens right here in PhotoMechanic. Probably the other key feature here is that once I do have JPEGs, and I'll show you guys a folder of those real quick. If I'm pulling up some pictures here and I want to edit something in Photoshop, if you just hit the E key, it will launch the editor of your choice. So this could be Photoshop or Luminar or whatever it is that you like to use. And you can real quickly and simply round trip photographs in and out of PhotoMechanic after you make edits to things. So I've launched this into Photoshop, I make whatever edits to it, I close it, and then I can go back to PhotoMechanic and it will be there with the edits that I made. So if you are looking at a folder of winners, you want to work at them one at a time, then you can totally do that. If you wanted to pull up a bunch of photographs, you could shift click all of them and then right click and go Edit Selected Photos with Photoshop, and then we'll bring up 2 or 8 or 10 photographs. And then of course, once you have your JPEGs, if you're already marked with a certain tag, but you want to change it, like you can see I have these 3 marked with orange, I could go through and mark these with whatever color, whatever color I want to after the fact. So that's the basics of PhotoMechanic for me, guys. I really love this program. There's lots more to it. There's really great renaming features, and it's the program that I use for looking at photographs every single time. When I open my computer and I want to look at pictures, I start in PhotoMechanic and then I move it to Lightroom or I move it to Photoshop and I go from there. And if you guys are looking for a way to kind of lighten up and speed up your workflow on your computer, I don't think you guys could do better than PhotoMechanic. Check it out. The company that makes it is called CameraBits.com, CAMERABITS.com. And I think it's around $149. It's been a super investment for me. They're really wonderful about updating their product, keeping it current, adding new models for their raw files and all that kind of stuff. And I just don't think you could do better than this if you're looking for something that does this kind of work. So that's what I've got today, guys. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit me up with comments, and we'll go from there. Thanks, y'all. Talk to you soon. Bye.